Death to DVR.
Snelling, before we start off here, I just want to... you gonna do this? You doing this right now?
Alright, I'm sorry. Alright. I just knew that you had something prepared. Alright, sorry, go ahead. Alright. Get you a drink.
Snelling, before we start here, I want to direct our listeners to a website that is near and dear to my heart. This is a project that has just started today, but I think has a lot of pull and it'll gain a lot of support from the Mr. Robot fan base. And so I just want our fans to go check out the GoFundMe page that I set up for Bill and his cats. He had a very rough time with Elliot today, and he needs that support. He needs to see that people care. And so if you just search GoFundMe Bill and Death to DVR in Google, I'm sure a page will bring up. And so if you just want to go check that out, donate $5 or $10 to help Bill pay for his cat food. I think that'd really help him out a lot.
Just go fund Bill.
Go fund Bill. He had such a rough time, and we feel for you, Bill.
Bill, who works at Steel Mountain. Does he now?
I don't know, but all I know is we'll come to his funeral. We'll support him. Hopefully
they show it on the show. Maybe he's like Bob with bitch tits. Maybe he's the...
Stop! Don't. You're already starting with the Fight Club comparisons, and our fans hate us by now.
Okay, I actually have nothing to say about Fight Club today. I don't think.
Okay.
I do want to talk about the Mr. Robot theory, but I have nothing about Fight Club. Okay.
Okay. Can we talk about? I liked last episode. You gave the definition of daemon. Can I do this episode with exploits?
Okay.
Okay. So exploits. Noun. A hold or daring feat, the most heroic and secretive exploits of war. Oh, let's use it in a sentence.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Okay, well, if we're relating to Mr. Robot, a software tool designed to take advantage of a flaw in a computer system, typically for malicious purposes such as installing malware.
I like it.
Yeah.
And people are the best exploits.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that really... If we want to just focus on that second part of the definition, don't focus on my first. But I think that...
And definitely don't focus on the sentence that had...
Yeah, I know. I'm all over the place. But no, that definition really holds true with Elliot and Tyrell's game in this episode.
Speaking of Steel Mountain, by the way, isn't your own catchphrase impenetrable?
Yeah. Since middle school, they called me Cody Impenetrable Hecker.
I'm Ryan Snelling. Hi, everybody.
What's up, guys? I'm Cody. Back again.
All right, so what do you want to talk about first? Do you want to get right into Shayla and the end of it? That sounds like I'm Australian.
Shayla.
You want to talk about Shayla?
Okay. No, what I want to talk about is how glad I am that I have devoted my time to talk about Mr. Robot instead of True Detective on the Death to DVR podcast.
Oh, really? Are you caught up on True Detective, by the way?
Yeah, I am. I just caught up today.
So you officially... okay. Both shows were over halfway.
Yes.
Do you realize that? We have
I do.
We have 5 episodes left of Mr. Robot. So we were talking about the other day how True Detective needs to feel like it's at a real turning point. Like, we have to start seeing some wrap up. And
which we did the first season.
Correct. And I feel like we're doing it now with True Detective. But now with Mr. Robot, I don't know if I feel the end game yet with Mr. Robot.
You don't?
I don't think I do.
I don't know. Okay. So I don't know if I necessarily feel the end game, but I do feel a lot of things revving up. Like, you feel the tenseness in this story I feel like it's right on its edge to come crashing down.
Elliot is definitely getting in a whole lot more trouble.
Oh, for sure.
Wow. I mean, We could talk about his experience with Tyrell in this episode. That's a whole issue in itself. I still don't know what to think about. This doesn't really involve Elliot yet, but all the stuff with Cisco and the Chinese, are they called the Dark Army? Is that what she called it?
She did call it the Dark Army, but you still keep referring to him as Cisco, and I don't think you have a good base to do that.
It's on IMDb. I checked it again.
It's not Street Peddler anymore?
Oh, it is Cisco.
Damn it. I wanted to keep calling him Street Peddler.
You can call him Street Peddler as long as people who are listening understand the difference here.
We know his day job now. He works at the library.
This guy's nuts.
Now, let's, so what were your thoughts?
The same as always. I'm just so intrigued by everything, and I love it. And
it's a lot of things to grasp.
I actually felt more depressed by this episode than any other episode.
Yeah.
And every episode, there's an opportunity to really upset the viewer. Yeah. But when he was basically laying it all out for Bill in the hallway, I was like, man, this is deep stuff.
No, they really laid it on to Bill.
What if your coworker said that to you tomorrow? How would you react?
I mean, that's at the point where you, like, it's not even anger. It's just pure sadness. Like, you can't even... He hit so many true points that a lot of us feel, and that he really, you know, dug in with Bill. Especially, you know, when they showed the profile of just, like, him and, you know, pictures by himself or pictures with his cats, you know. They know that hits on a level that we, as the viewers, understand. But, yeah, it really hit hard. It was... I mean, damn.
Tomorrow, your coworker comes up to you and says, Cody, I know your nickname's been Impenetrable since middle school, but you are nothing but impenetrable. And then...
I have in my notes, I laughed out loud at impenetrable. They just did a good job with...
You know who isn't impenetrable?
Tyrell.
Tyrell. Ho-ho!
Oh my god, I tweeted this out tonight, but I mean, he would be the worst person to play a poker game with. You think you know his end game, but then bam, turns down a girl spreading his legs to him.
Hell
says,
yeah!
Thanks for the night, peace.
I thought she was using the restroom.
I thought she was too, but I mean, from Tyrell's sexual history that we've seen on the show, you know, nothing's gonna be surprising me.
So you think Tyrell sees that as an invitation?
He might like a little golden shower. You never know. Okay, we're really off topic. Can we talk about a couple of concepts covered in the show tonight? I think were a little heavy-handed. I'm not saying that's, you know, a bad thing. I just think
already know what you're gonna say. Go ahead.
I know, but you know, I think that when Mr. Robot is talking through the headset of Elliot, I mean, it's just really heavy-handed that you know is supposed to represent Elliot's conscious, and I think they did a good job with it. I do think it was a little obvious, but you know, it is what it is. What'd you think?
More than ever, I'm watching these scenes with Mr. Robot carefully, and I kind of think it's too obvious now.
Yeah, I know.
Like now that I'm watching Mr. Robot talking to the two techs in the van, with the two F Society guys, those two guys are only talking to each other. Yeah. Mr. Robot talks in the backseat. They do not acknowledge him. I feel like that is way too obvious.
Yeah, and here's the thing, though. I think Sam Esmail... Is it Esmail or Esmail? I've heard both. Whatever. I like saying Sam Esmail. I think...
All right, do whatever you want.
I think...
Why do you change everyone's name? Street Peddler? Cisco?
Man, I'm living in my own world here. I like to do what I do. Sam Esmail. It's easier to say. I don't care. Whatever. He is smarter than I think what we're giving him credit for right now. You know, that it's too obvious. I think he's using that as a ploy. I think he's using that as a distraction.
So now you're thinking it's not the case that Mr. Robot is.
Okay, maybe I just want to believe that. You know, I just think he is smarter than that, and I think if he can use if he can anticipate what we're thinking and what we think is going to happen next, I think he can use that to his advantage, to create a twist or something that we really truly don't see coming. And I hope that is the case.
To the American people, our revolution will happen. If society will continue to function and continue to multiply, resistance is useless. And now a word from your corporate overlords.
I officially do not believe Mr. Robot is a figment of Elliot's imagination. I think he's totally real. I think there's something clever behind it. It makes you want to think that.
That's what I'm saying.
It's a fun theory.
Yeah.
So you agree with that?
No, I do. And I want to agree with it. I don't know if I'm 100% on board yet, but I want to agree with it. And, I think they're playing into that factor of everybody, live tweeting this and stuff, and this new age of watching television, coming up with theories on Reddit, different discussion boards. I think they're playing into that because they know their fan base really well, as seen from, some of the lines in the show and what have you. But I just hope that they're playing into that where he knows that a lot of people is going to be talking about this and they want to use that as a distraction.
Speaking of live tweeting, you did a great job tonight. And honestly, I got a little distracted, so I can imagine how distracted you might have been.
Yeah, this is my first night live tweeting. I enjoyed it. I love reaching out to the people on Twitter. There's a lot of people talking about this, a lot more people than I thought there were. So I really want to thank them for interacting with us and creating some good conversations about this show. But it was a little distracting. I think I did miss a lot of, smaller points of the show that I usually enjoy. But it was fun to reach out and to connect with people because that's what we're trying to create, this experience of Death to DVR, to create a culture of, talking about a show as it happens. So that really, encapsulates? What am I saying?
You got it. You're good.
Encapsulates?
Last week after the episode, I had a great conversation with @ArmyTankerRiggs, and he was back tonight talking to us. So shout out to him. Also, I want to thank @Carolyn Marie, @Brown Patricia, and @Shiny Rob for talking to us tonight.
And let's go ahead and give a shout out to @WhoIsMrRobot, the official Mr. Robot Twitter account, for not only responding to us tonight, but responding to, I felt like, hundreds of tweeters out there.
I talk about this when it comes to Bates Motel a lot. So basically, the main character of Mr. Robot is a freak. He is not accepted by common society. Is that a phrase? If it's not, I'm making it up now.
For a man who is a freak and not accepted by common society, he has some pretty good options for girls.
Listen, he has 3 love interests, and relating it back to Bates Motel, he's always got at least 2, Norman Bates, and he turns out to be a fucking murderer.
Was that the point that you were gonna make?
My point is, when I'm watching these shows about these psychopaths, they always have more love interests than I do, and I feel like I'm pretty normal, Hecker.
Well, maybe that's the problem.
Is it wrong? Is it wrong of me to just assume that another female on the show is a love interest? Is there a word for that?
I don't know. Like you're assuming that they are?
Yeah, I feel like that's in bad taste. I just assume, there's a girl that has to be a love interest.
I don't think it's wrong. I think that's kind of the way, it's just the way the show's been set up. It kind of portrays that. I don't think it's a bad thing.
All I know is he went home with Darlene. And I guess that doesn't count because Darlene would have come back to the apartment with Shayla there, but she wasn't.
We'll get back to it later. I want to make a quick point, if you don't mind.
Okay.
I know. I'm sorry. So you talked about, I'm not caught up.
I know. You want to hear Cisco's rap album. I know.
I try to download it 3 times on my computer, but it just kept running error. And now my webcam's blinking, so that's a little weird. I don't know. Don't worry about it. So a point that I want to make is, you mentioned with Bates Motel and with this show that essentially the main narrator has some problems. What I wanted to say is, which I'm not caught up on Bates Motel, so I can't really attest to that. But
it doesn't matter.
With any show that has a flawed narrator, which is the majority of the shows out there, I think this one does a really great job of showing how flawed he is, and, you know, not only showing his flaws, but, you know, showing his actual insecurities. You know, when Elliot went into the bathroom and threw up, you saw the anxiety that was running through him. You didn't see a doubt in his mind like other shows might show, but you saw his actual fears. So I think the way that they set up their narration, it's completely from Elliot's viewpoint, and, you know, it's not distorted at all. And I think that's why one of the reasons I like coming back to the show every week is just to see how Elliot views the world.
You know, that was actual puke. Fun fact.
Was it?
I don't know.
Why you gotta hit me with these fake facts? You get me all excited.
No, but he did need a stunt double to do the puking, so.
Do you know this? What? I don't know what's real and fake anymore.
All right, so speaking of real and fake, here's what I want to talk about.
Obamacare.
The whole Mr. Robot debate was on the back burner because was it somebody that tweeted at us that brought up the fact that the whole bathroom scene between Elliot and Tyrell could have been fake?
Yeah, it was actually at Army Tanker Riggs who brought it up, who's had a lot of interaction with us, so shout out to him. But he brought up, you know, the idea of this bathroom scene not being real at all and being in Elliot's head, which, I mean, if you think about it, I feel like Tyrell being at, is it Blue Mountain still?
You're thinking of Blue Mountain State.
Shit. What's it called?
It's Steel Mountain.
So I think, you know, you could...
That would be a great bottled water company.
Blue Mountain State?
No, Blue Mountain Steel.
Shit. Okay, scrap that.
No.
Damn it.
I don't delete things.
I've heard this. Whatever. So, what he brought up, you know, got me thinking... Tyrell being at Steel Mountain. Is that right? Did I say it right?
Yes.
Tyrell being at Steel Mountain could have been all in Elliot's imagination.
And that's something that we have yet to explore. We've been so caught up with
Mr. Robot.
Oh, he just adds in Mr. Robot everywhere he goes. But now Army Tanker Riggs is putting this on the table.
Yeah. That
he can just be completely delusional altogether.
Yeah. And I mean, that's what I was referring to earlier. You don't know what's real and what's fake because of the perspective that, you know, we see each episode every week.
But the only thing is that Tyrell said he was going back to New York, right? And then it shows Tyrell in New York. Yeah. So if it's a trick, the show did a good job of structurally making it coherent, I guess. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And something I'm just putting together as I'm looking back through my notes, you know, it was very interesting that Elliot lost his signal to communicate with Mr. Robot as he enters, I think they said the second level, and that's when he runs into Tyrell. So we haven't seen crossover between Tyrell and Mr. Robot yet on any level.
You're right.
And so I think that's, you know, pretty interesting that he loses his signal to communicate with him as he runs into Tyrell. And that's one of the weaker moments for Elliot is when he can't hear Mr. Robot backing up his opinions.
I think Tyrell is definitely, like, real. Like, there's no question.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I mean, I don't think Elliot wants to imagine a guy having graphic sex with another man. So
not that there's anything wrong with that.
Not that there's anything wrong with that. No. But Tyrell represents this idea of paranoia.
Yeah, for sure.
That a guy with anxiety would have.
Yeah.
So the minute he walks into Steel Mountain, constant paranoia. And so that would give him every reason to think that Tyrell would be there or create that Tyrell is there. So that totally makes sense. And that's what I'm going with. Tyrell represents paranoia.
So what do we think of Tyrell basically calling Elliot out on all of the things he's done so far with the Terry Colby framing? And
I don't know, man. I mean, that's part of the paranoia. I mean, that's probably a good reason to support what I just said about him just freaking himself out. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see, man. I was my jaw dropped when he said all that, though.
I know. One of my favorite lines of this episode is Tyrell's, "Unfortunately, we're all human. Except me, of course." And then he goes into, "I'm only joking, Elliot."
My favorite line from Tyrell was, "Isn't everything about something?"
Yeah, I like that too.
Let's talk about Ollie and Angela a little bit. Angela,
Ollie, and that was a storyline that I didn't much care for this episode. It didn't really go anywhere for me.
Well, I thought Angela, she put the kibosh down on Ollie.
Enough of these Seinfeld references.
Kibosh is not a Seinfeld reference.
I thought it was. I thought you always said it was.
It's an actual word.
Oh, shit. Well, that shows how ignorant I am.
Oh, boy.
No,
Seinfeld podcast. We're doing it. All right. Anyway.
No, I just...
You know what? You know what's different about this show? I don't think I've ever realized this about another show. I miss relationships. It's been like 2 episodes, I think, that we haven't seen Elliot and Angela interact, right?
Well, maybe so that's kind of their point is to make you crave that relationship, because that's probably how Elliot's feeling too. Most of the time it's just so in our face that it gets exhausting.
He just has to have 3 love interests.
I know. It's those eyes, man. They attract the ladies.
If Mr. Robot is, in fact, a figment of his imagination, what I really can't wait to explore is how the team of S Society was brought together then,
That's a good point. If we're going into that, can we talk about, we did see actually the first interaction between Mr. Robot and an F Society member.
Yeah, so you want to get to the end here?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, yeah, go for it. So, this is where, unfortunately, I was distracted by all the tweets.
Oh, God.
So I'll let you take over here.
Basically, Darlene loses connection with the Asian hacker group, which, what was their name tonight?
The Dark Army is something that she references. I don't know if she's specifically referencing the Asian guys, but
yeah, basically we saw, a little before that she was booted out of their contact with the Dark Army, and so I didn't get what she was trying to do, but basically the sense was she was going to do something irrational just to either get back at them or to get back in with them, and basically Mr. Robot takes over and says, stop, we need to get in control, don't lose your head. But, he shows a lot of emotion. He's throwing keyboards around, everybody's reacting to him, and it's actually Elliot who comes over and calms Darlene down and, comforts her. And so I thought that was very, it was definitely new to what we have been seeing. It was the first interaction between Mr. Robot and one of these members, but I don't know, man. I hate to keep coming back to it, but we've seen that in Fight Club when Tyler Durden interacts with other people. It doesn't necessarily mean.
No.
I know. I did it, and not you. It was my fault.
All I know is that there's a giant question mark in that scene, and I think that scene is a reason why this will be the first episode I go back and rewatch. So I'm probably going to watch this in the next couple days. Definitely before next week.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm curious.
And then let's talk about the ending, man. That shit, oh my God. I was literally out of my seat.
I can't remember his name, but that guy, the drug
dealer,
he is really scary.
Yes, he is.
Also, was his friend at the very opening scene, the interrogation, did you recognize that Latino actor?
He's from Coach Carter.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Do you remember when that guy used to be in, everything? It's been
Coach Carter, the rookie, War of the Worlds.
War of the Worlds, yeah. He was in everything, and it's been several years. But
I think it was his brother. That's who he was in this episode.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I think his Fernando, is that it?
I don't know. Speaking of random...
Yeah, it's Fernando. Fernando, you can tell from the very beginning of the episode, you know, when he realizes who set him up, that something was about to go down. So when he walks into, what's her name's apartment?
Shayla's.
When he walks into Shayla's apartment, you know, I obviously knew what was happening, and it made me get up out of my seat. Like, it was intense.
Speaking of other USA shows, I'm intrigued by Graceland because in one of the promos, I saw Billy Walsh from Entourage. Are you that far in Entourage that you know who Billy Walsh is?
Is he the director?
Yeah.
Yeah.
God's fucking nuts.
It's a little obvious that they are trying super hard to get people to watch Graceland.
But anyway, isn't it sad though? We're halfway.
I know, it's crazy, man. It feels like I'm just like starting this series. Like that's.
It really
I feel
does.
like True Detectives, you know, at this point too. Actually, they're past halfway, aren't they?
Yeah, True Detective has 3 left.
And I feel like it's 10 times longer than what I've been watching Mr. Robot.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, you know, don't get me wrong, I don't think it's bad television, but I just don't think it can compete with this, you know, this quality that we haven't seen before, and that's why, you know, Mr. Robot is my favorite television series on TV right now.
I don't know if this is jumping ahead, but we sort of got a date for Fargo Season 2, which we'll be covering on Death to DVR eventually. That starts in October, but the exact date is still unknown. Yeah. So there's something to look forward to, even though you're still going to be upset about Mr. Robot.
I know. Well, and this kind of ties into what we're talking about. So Mr. Robot has, you know, been renewed for Season 2, and I'm a little nervous for if they can keep this going. It's a lot of pressure on Sam Esmail. It's a lot of, you know, creativity that constantly needs to be pumped through this television series, and I'm just a little worried for it. What are your thoughts on that?
Honestly, I don't even want to think about it, but I did refer to that article. Did you ever read that article I sent you on Forbes about how it came to be and how it was originally a movie?
No, I did not.
I mean, he said Season 1, the end of Season 1 is the end of his first act. So I'm not really worried about it. But I don't really like to speculate about future seasons, really. I mean,
yeah, that's true. And that's, I guess that does give us hope it's not like he's trying to crank out another, you know, story. He has a plan and he knows, you know, how that's going to unfold. So, yeah. I mean,
I'm not really worried about that. But I'm not really a fan of speculating sequels. I hate when people are like Iron Man 4, what are they going to do now? And it's just like the possibilities are kind of endless because you can just make up any story, you know? Like,
no, I know. I'm right there with you, man. I'm just a little sad that this is going to end and I want more. You know this.
I know. Well, you know, that's the thing about this podcast. We have to train to take our time with stuff.
I know. We can't just binge through it.
But speaking of other shows, when True Detective is over, we don't have an exact date for this either, but The Leftovers Season 2 will also be coming on HBO. So that'll replace True Detective, and then Fargo should replace this. And I think there's a gap. So hopefully we can find some good stuff to watch. I know Joshua Caldwell, who we interviewed Joshua Caldwell on Film Beef podcast.
By the way, that was one of my favorite interviews that Film Beef did. So y'all go check it out. It's one of the earlier episodes.
It was actually our very first interview, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, it was a really good one. He seems like he knows what he's doing, and I'm excited to see, you know, what he has to offer.
That was South Beach on Hulu. I don't remember if I said it, but I'll say it again. Also, me and you were doing Wet Hot American Summer on Netflix.
Oh my God, I'm so excited.
And then this new show with Pablo Escobar called Narcos. That comes out at the end of August on Netflix too. And I don't know who's doing it yet, but I'm extremely excited for that show. So that's kind of stuff you can look forward to.
Yeah, it sounds like we got a lot ahead of us. I'm excited to do it. I don't know if any of them will be able to compete with this show, but I'll still be there.
All right, Hacker, I'm going to let you go. Have a good night.
Hey, buddy. You have a good one, too.
If you like this episode, please rate and review on iTunes. And, well, subscribe too, right? And that's it. We'll see you next Wednesday talking about the next episode of Mr. Robot. Well, Obamacare.
Obamacare.
Thank you for listening to Death to DVR. To DVR.